Hi everyone, welcome to episode number 5. I'm Apeksha, your host, and today we have with us Palak Khanna, founder of Break Eyes. She is a social entrepreneur. She has recently been featured on Times Square, New York. She is BW Wellbeing's 30 Under 30. She also had appeared on Josh Talks to share her journey. She was a speaker at UK India Digital Convention 2023. She was mentor at Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Bombay's E-Summit. Apart from this, she has a lot more to add on to her profile. Palak, thank you so much for joining in this podcast today and sharing your experience with us. Would you please give our viewers a brief about yourself from where you are and so on?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And for
Absolutely.
everyone who's listening, I think you've covered all of my introduction. But I'm Palak. I'm a 20-year-old. I'm a college student currently, also a social entrepreneur. And I love everything around social impact and content. So I also create content on LinkedIn. So, and everything around social impact really, really, kind of bothers me as well as inspires me. So I've been working on all of the initiatives that I've ever been a part of is around social impact. So that's how I define myself. And I'm an introvert turned ambivert who
Okay,
speaks on
great.
stage but is nervous talking to people. Yes. So that's me.
Okay, great, Palak. Palak, you are CEO and founder of Break the Ice, right? What is Break the Ice all about? And why did you think of starting such an organization?
Okay. Break the Ice is trying to literally break the ice about taboo topics, everything
Okay.
that society would not want to talk about or ignores, or simply, pushes under this tag of taboo. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I realized is extremely important because during the pandemic,
Yeah.
I overheard this conversation between my mom and my domestic help.
Okay.
My domestic helper had her periods at my place, and she was
Okay.
very uncomfortable asking for pads. Now, the moment I
Mm-hmm.
overheard that conversation, I realized that periods is normal. Why are we
Mm-hmm.
pushing forward the stigma? And
Correct.
that's when I realized there are a lot of things, not just periods. There is mental health, there is gender equality, there's climate, things which are
Absolutely.
so important for us and for the planet, but we don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about it that much. So I think that's when I decided, let's create a platform where we will only talk about things not supposed to be talked about. So that's when Break the Ice came into the picture, and we're talking about everything taboo, for the youth and by the youth. So presently we are in 10 countries, and we're trying to really understand what are the stigmas which are culturally different, so that we can break those very,
Correct,
very
correct.
specific cultural stigmas. And yeah, that's it. That's all about the organization. It's a non-profit, and we're really working to create awareness, to start conversations, and then take action.
Amazing, Palak. Uh, I have seen your post which says that 9-year-old me, who was nervous to put forward her feelings and even questioned her worth, is today she's smiling. So, Palak, I want to know that from being nervous as a child to getting that confidence back, uh,
Mhm.
to bring yourself to the position where you are able to finally be happy or feel worthy enough. How did you improvise yourself?
Wow, that's a very deep crisis question, I think. I'm actually thinking of the answer to what all I did. But I think I've been the biggest introvert. I've always been very open about this fact because a lot of people feel like they won't be able to ever get out of their comfort zone. And I've always
Correct.
told people I was the biggest introvert. I was uncomfortable talking about my feelings, let alone taboo topics. Like taboo topics was completely out of my comfort zone. And all it takes is firstly having a passion for a thing. So whether
Mhm.
it's social impact, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's environment, anything, you need to know what you're passionate about. Now, a lot of people
Mhm.
would say, I don't really know that. That's
Mhm.
absolutely okay. What do you go back to when you want to be the most comfortable? Think about those things.
Mhm.
And that is something that you're passionate about. So when you're wanting to get out of your comfort zone, like I did, it
Mhm.
really takes passion combined with that extra effort every single day to step out. So
Right. Right.
what I personally do is, now that I've actually learned to like talk to a lot of people, I did 2 to 3 things that really made me help become a little more confident every day. So I think the everyday consistent effort is what you need to do, not a drastic randomly you go on the stage and start talking. It will not work out, you'll freak out and you'll want to step out of it. And that will go down
Right.
as a terrible memory for you. Don't do that. What I did was, it sounds very weird, but just stand in front of the mirror and talk about what you want to talk about. And it really, really helps, because now you know that at least I'm comfortable talking to myself through the mirror. I can talk to anyone else. And
Okay.
it sounds very weird, but when you actually implement it, it will make a lot of difference. Number
Mhm.
two, a very interesting thing I do is reach out to one new person every day. It's a
Oh.
very creative thing. Everybody who listens to this can do that. Whether you're comfortable online, offline, online is very, very easy. You just have to cold DM one person. Make sure you're reaching out to someone you're inspired by, someone in your desired industry, and just approach them in terms of not asking for a job. Please don't do that. Just introduce yourself. Why are you motivated by the work that they do? And try to get a 10-minute coffee chat with them. A coffee chat is simple, like we're having a conversation right now virtually.
Right.
Have a conversation with that person, 10 minutes of what you do, what are you up to, who are you, and vice versa. Get to know them better,
Perfect.
but virtually through the screens. That is something which has worked wonderfully for me. So everybody who's listening to this, I think give that a shot. Reach out to
Yeah.
one new
Sure.
person every day. 40% of people will not respond. Do not get demotivated. Just keep going. So yes.
Amazing. Awesome, Palak. I've also seen that you appeared on Josh Talks. Okay, so for the viewers who are not aware of Josh Talks, it's a media platform where inspiring people or role models are called upon to share their success stories. So Palak is one of them who was invited there. Palak, there you talked about a journey of a 19-year-old youth change maker and how we as a society can change for better. So, can you please throw some light on this journey in short with us also?
Absolutely. I think we talked about this like throughout the other questions as well. Um,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
have been the biggest introvert. The only passion I ever had was towards the environment. That was
Mm-hmm.
really the only thing I've ever even protested about. So
Okay.
for me as a person, I was someone who really didn't have a social life, because I was very uncomfortable talking about feelings and emotions and people in general. But
Mm-hmm.
there was this protest in our school for the environment. There were these trees getting illegally cut, and that was the
Okay.
first time I really stepped out of my comfort zone to say I want to lead this protest through my school. This was
Okay.
10-year-old Palak, who thought that never mind how can it go wrong? And young children are very naive. So
Mm-hmm.
for me as a person, I also thought, let's give it a shot. And I was very small, didn't even think about it too much. But all I knew was, I'm not confident, but I want to do this for the environment. I want to save the trees around me because they are my home. So I think that was one thing that I really took part in when I was very young. And the only ever leadership role also I had taken in my school back
Mm-hmm.
then was in the environment club. So I think
Okay.
from that to then opening an organization talking about taboo topics, I think that has been a massive journey for me. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't understand how much of a transition that was, because obviously you're listening to me talk about it, 2 years later when you've seen me talk. But you really do. If you are someone who's listening from the time that school Palak, you would know it's a massive transition.
Massive
So yeah, I
transition.
talked about this journey. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
talked about this journey on Joe's Talk, and I also highlighted and emphasized on why do taboos exist and what do we as a society need to do to create change. So
Right.
when we're talking about taboo topics, even if we don't talk about taboo topics, we talk about quality education. There's a
Perfect.
massive,
Correct.
massive
Correct.
lack in terms of
Mm-hmm.
how many people don't have access to quality education. So I think
Correct.
that is what I talked about in my Joe Shock speech, that while I have been able to transition from an introvert to an ambivert because I had the resources, I had the support system, I had the education to also make me more aware of where I'm going
Mm-hmm.
wrong. But there are so many thousands of people who don't have access to that. So how
Right.
can we as young people, passionate individuals, work towards doing that is something I'm very passionate about. So that's why social impact is totally my thing. I'm working on SDGs, which is Sustainable Development Goals, and closely hoping to create change through a lot of initiatives that I'm a part of. And again, I also use my voice on platforms like Josh Talk as well as LinkedIn to just emphasize that I'm young, so are you, and everybody can create change irrespective of what age bracket you come from. Even
Right,
if
right.
you're a 70-year-old, 70-year-olds are so inspiring, and so are 10-year-olds. It's all about the impact you want to create rather than the age. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
that's the mission I have
Yeah,
internally,
I
and I
think
really want to push it forward.
even Palak, many of them know that we are like as a youth, we must be a change maker, or when we see things that are not correct. So, but very few people like you come forward and present such issues and try to make a change in society. So, kudos to you, Palak. Really great. You were also invited at Google Women Technique. How was the OG experience from receiving the invitation to going at the Google company, the people there? How was that feeling overall? Because not everybody, get to go there, really.
So I think it was a wonderful experience. So this was the Google Women Tech Makers program, and what was exciting was that it was a conversation around tech and young people.
Mm.
And I, to be honest, I'm not someone who's into tech, but I talked about how to use your voice in the right way so that for those who are into tech can use tech to create change and use tech for good. So that's what
Mhm.
I talked about, and how to really, really get out of your comfort zone as well as push yourself every single day, to be honest. Like we were talking about earlier.
Mm.
Even if someone is an extrovert, because
Mm.
let alone introverts, extroverts also get nervous. It's all about the confidence that you have. How do you
Mm.
build your confidence to use your voice is something that I talked about.
Yeah,
And
right.
I just, so there were a lot of young people in that room. And I talked about how we need to not just secure a seat at the decision making tables, but
Mm.
a say at the decision making tables. How do
Right.
you make sure that it's not just a seat, but a say?
See,
So yeah,
right.
that's something that I talked about, and that was a brilliant experience. I think whenever I go to organizations like these, I'm a little
Mm.
overwhelmed, and I just take a step back and I
Pause. Mhm.
introspect on, you know, how has this happened, and what do I need to make sure to also make the most of this conversation that I have with the audience. So yes, it was brilliant.
Right, right. Correct, correct. And even the topic that you said about confidence, I think it also comes from knowing your strength, knowing your weaknesses. So I have seen that you have been a great speaker. You have met some incredible people in person, be it at UK India convention or as a judge or as a woman tech maker. Palak, from where does again this confidence comes from? And what is the best takeaway you got after meeting such incredible personalities?
Wow. So I think this is a two-part question. I'll answer the second one first because it's a
Yeah,
very something which I'm very close to. So
okay.
for everybody who's been to events, networking events, wherever where you meet personalities, who inspire you, you'll realize that a lot of them are very human in nature. And that's something I absolutely love about everyone I've met at every event. So
Okay.
they would look like people who have, everything together, everything
Mm.
going well. But when you actually talk to them, you know how much they have had a journey of struggle. And that's my
Mm.
favorite part of meeting people, having those
Mm.
deep conversations of, what has led you to become you. It's a
Mm.
very, very good feeling talking about these things at like big events, because you
Yeah.
realize that this person also has a journey of understanding, again, like you were mentioning, their strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah.
and then honing their strengths and working hard on their weaknesses. That's where, that's why they are there.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's truly like inspires me a lot. And the second thing which I learned from every event is
Mm.
that when you meet these people, you'll realize that all of them have two things in common.
Mm.
They want to work hard, and they have a good network. I
Okay.
think both
Mm.
of these things are so, so important, because
Mm.
personally speaking, as a young person, I don't think too many people tell us that, work on your networking skills.
No, no,
And I
no.
don't mean
Okay.
network as in family or
Mm.
relations. I mean
Mm.
network as in building your relations through offline, online events, right?
Correct, correct.
So that's what I learned. When I met these people, I realized the phrase that a lot of people use, network, your network is your net worth. I think that's so, so
Uh-huh.
true. Because when you meet them, you're like, damn, just meeting them has enabled me with so many
So
opportunities.
many
Because they
opportunities.
are
Yeah.
coming to me and telling me, this is
Yeah.
exciting, we align on this, let's collaborate. And when you
Correct,
hear
correct.
such terms with from these people, it's exceptional. So I think that's what I've learned from people, that make the most out of every networking event, every event, to be honest, because
Mhm.
technically every event is a platform to network, whether or not it is a networking event or not. Make the most out of that. Highlight your
Mhm.
strengths and how you align with that person, so that potentially you can collaborate with them in the future. um,
Mhm.
and number two is always make sure that you also do attend such events, even if it's online. Make sure you do, like, make the most out of it. And I think the first part of the question was, how does the confidence come?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm a confident person even now. I'll tell you. So
Why?
I've realized that while
Mhm.
I've transitioned from like an introvert to an ambivert, I've
Mhm.
realized that confidence is something which is a skill. So
Mhm.
I don't think I have that kind of confidence. I really prepare for everything that I go, because I
Mhm.
feel nervous. So, because again, I'm still in that journey of becoming more confident, and I'm very self aware. So, the moment someone would tell me, "Oh, you look nervous," I'll completely say, "Yes, I know," because I am nervous. So, I'm a
Okay.
very self aware. Yeah, absolutely. So I've always said that I am always nervous, but confidence comes with time, with preparation. So
Mhm.
wherever you're going, if you're going as a speaker, if you're going as a even as an attendee, make sure you've prepared well. You know the speaker by heart. You know a few questions you have about their journey, about the conversation that's going to happen.
Mhm.
Because in that moment you might feel very nervous, but if you're a little bit prepared, you might come across as a very confident person, and that might like change your networking game as well. So I think
Right,
thinking
right.
from that angle, and a lot of people also say fake it till you make it. I It doesn't work with me. I'm still nervous, but if that works for you, then definitely also give that a shot.
Perfect. Awesome, Palak. Awesome. Here my questions end, and it was great talking to you. And I'm sure our viewers watching this podcast are going to love this episode. Thank you so much once again, Palak. Really had a good time.
Thank you so much.